Hello, my absolutely beautiful astrology soulmates, and welcome to your video where we're going to talk about the full moon coming up in the vibration of Scorpio. This will be happening Tuesday, April 23rd. So we're just on the heels of this particular full moon, and we have been experiencing the Libra eclipses. We just got done with the Aries eclipse, and I will tell you all of that has been really impactful energy, but I happen to think that this particular full moon being here in Scorpio is actually one of the biggest lunations that we have of the year, because it's an opportunity to kind of pressure release and get clear on some values or some things that have been pent up that we just haven't been able to quite detox or like clean out just yet. And this gives us an opportunity to not only to do that, but to also find this beautiful empowerment with the energy that is available. So if you are looking to find out what this full moon has in store for you astrologically, then this is the video for you. Now, you're also going to find that in the description box of this video, I have done a breakdown of this full moon in Scorpio as it will hit your individual houses. So you want to make sure that you grab your chart and you look at which house 4 degrees of Scorpio is happening in for you, and then you can check it out in the description box down below. And it'll also have just next to it the perceived rising sign that would go with that particular house as well. So that's all in the description box down below for you to check out and get a little bit of a read of how this is going to work for you. Now, if we haven't met before, I am Stormie Grace. I'm a practicing professional astrologer, and I practice evolutionary and humanistic astrology. And that is important for you to know, because if you are looking for someone who practices traditional Hellenistic astrology, you're not going to find that here. So you want to be clear on also what you're looking for so that I can make sure I'm really giving it to you. You know what I mean? Okay, brilliant. Let's jump in and let's get ready to talk about what this moon has to offer. Now, keep in mind as well, if you are new or you're looking to continue your astrological education, that down below, I have got my Astrology 101 and 102 class. It's a digital class. You can take it at your own speed, and that is on sale for $25 right now before that class gets discontinued and rolled into a bigger class in my new school. So if that's you, you're looking to learn, you wanted to get into transits, oriental planets, you need to know more about the lunar phases, you want to know about minor aspects and things like that, then this is going to definitely be a 101 and 102 course that is built for you, okay? All right. So when we're looking at this full moon, first of all, we want to understand astrologically what's happening in the sky. And so you can see on the chart that we've got the moon on one side and we've got the sun on the other. So they are moving in an opposition to one another. Now, what this creates in the sky when we're looking at it, the astronomical situation is that the lights are on. The lights are on. Unlike when we are at a new moon and the sun and the moon are together, the luminaries are traveling together, the sky is dark. So you're having to intuit your way through a lot of what's happening. There's excitement, but there's a lot of blind faith that is going on as we're dealing with that energy. Now, when we have a full moon, they're moving in opposition, so all of the light in the sky is on. Think about if you were to walk into a room and all of the lights are on, you can see what's happening around you, right? You can see the lamp, you can see the chair, you can see the window, you can see the light switch in case you need to turn it back off, right? Whatever it is, you can see it. So that's something I want you to bring somatically and into your consciousness as we're at this particular full moon, that you can see what is happening. And the things that are going to continue to come up to be revealed from you, they're not necessarily mysterious at a full moon. Even in Scorpio, they're coming up and you're realizing what it is. This is why I've been so stressed. This is what I feel like I need to let go of. Oh, this is what I really want. This is what I desire, right? So as it comes up, it's presenting itself to you in this room where there's all this light. Now, the responsibility that we each have as we're dealing with this particular lunation, and it happens every month, every 28 days, we get a chance to very consciously choose which direction we're going to go with things, because the full moon's going to ask us to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment, but to do so consciously. That's the thing I really want to continue to bring to us, is that at this particular moon, it's not just the intuition that's firing. There is a conscious decision-making factor that is in place here. So think about that as you're traveling here. Ending something, acknowledge something, or making an adjustment. So even days before this full moon is happening, you may be starting to feel some energy, or you may be starting to feel some things rise to your surface that you're like, okay, I do know this. I am pretty clear on this, or this is starting to put a little bit of pressure on me. I'm feeling a little bit emotional. Now, I want to be clear here too. When I use words like intense or pressure or it's feeling more emotional, these are not bad words. They are words of the human experience, right? Sometimes we have to have a little bit of chaos kick up so that we know that there's a change that is coming up. Sometimes we have to be deeply emotional, which doesn't just mean that you're crying and you're out of whack and you're out of control. To be deeply emotional is also to feel very deeply the presence of your own living being, to feel very deeply a connection to something that you desire or your own empowerment. So I don't want you to get lost or be abandoned in the words that we're using here, because they are all just going to come with some sense of intensity that is consciously asking you to look at them, okay? Now, as we see that this full moon is happening, we've got all the lights in the sky on here. What the Scorpio energy of this particular moon is asking us to look at is it's saying, okay, hold on. Something below maybe the level of what we've currently been dealing with in our consciousness, like something could be pent up. There could be some pressure that is happening here, and we're going to need to release that in order to get to the transformation. Now, this is also a very deep moon that it is coming down to the core. It's not afraid to go to hell and back with you. So what's coming up for you, or what's being revealed, is down in the core of you. It means that if you press on this, as this makes itself known, you will be required to move because it's so deep seated within your being. But when you move, it creates a transformative experience, right? It's like acknowledging that, saying that, asking for the help that you need, saying, I don't want this, right? Whatever that is will create this full spiritual and therefore physical and material and emotional change in your life. So it's actually a really cool moon. But where I think that this moon gets kind of interesting and intense for us is that within yourself, you may have desires, you may have stressors coming to the surface, trying and being ready to change you. And as the moon is pushing in, they're coming up, and you realize them and they feel like they were hidden from you before, but now you see them. So you're conscious and you need to do something with them. But typically an opposition in the sky is going to be relational. So there's typically another party involved on the other side. There's another source on the other side. So this could be with a partner or with a partnership, something you are in partnership with, but you're deeply connected to it because this is scorpionic. So if this is you and a partner and you're talking about your resources or your money, right, you're deeply connected to that, because if your partner changes direction with money, then you're going to have to change direction, right? So whatever it is, you're deeply tapped into it. And this opposition, because it's relational, could be showing you that something has been hidden or there hasn't been information that you've been necessarily privy to, and now it's starting to come to the surface. And it has to come to the surface. It has to come to the surface for you to be able to do something with it. Now, I don't think necessarily that this is something coming to the surface where it's like, oh, that person was keeping a surprise party from you. How delightful. I actually think that this moon is a little bit more challenging, or it can be, in terms of what you're seeing. Some of which, when we've got this full set of energy that you can see in this chart in Taurus on the other side, where the sun is shining and wanting to bring light, heat, life, and motivation, right? Very earthy, very in the physical terrain. Before we can really enjoy that Taurus season energy, I think that the opposition with Scorpio is saying, hey, you need to see this, you need to know this information, because you cannot make a material world change until you understand this secret, this hidden information that needs to be transformed. Scorpio is as much about behavior patterns as it is anything else, and they come from an emotionally based place, right? So what is it in a behavior pattern that you've had with money, relationships? Where are you having a current power struggle, something like that, that may be actually opening up this can for you to see some information so that you can make some changes and some decisions. Now, the other thing I want to keep in mind at this moon is what it's connected to. Immediately, we can see here in this chart that the sun and the moon in their opposition make a beautiful T-square down here to this Pluto energy, which is one of the ruling planets of Scorpio, okay? So we've got a T-square. When there's a T-square, the point is called the apex, and it's where all of the energy is trying to bring itself out. So you're trying to be conscious, you're trying to see what's maybe been hidden so that it can be transformed, maybe in a behavior pattern, something emotional, maybe even something from the past, so that you can build it in the material reality with whatever the relationship is that you're connected to. But it's all funneling through this Pluto in Aquarius energy. Now, Pluto in Aquarius, my very first inclination looking at this is like, wow, you know, first of all, we are inside of a world with Pluto and Aquarius, especially here at this 2 degrees, that none of us have ever been in before. Absolutely none of us have been in this vibration before, ever. So we are creating together and being shaped into the vibration of the world that will be to come. So there's definitely this point in this place where at this particular full moon, there could be some fear coming up where it is like, I just don't understand why I can't make this vibration work. Why can't I make my money work? Why can't I make my relationships work? How come I'm not just able to push on this like I kind of was before, or the tips and the tricks and the tools I was using before, they're not working anymore. How come it's not working? And this can intensely bring up some fear. Absolutely. Or you feel like there's this conflict in you where it's like, in the past, I used to be able to do this. Will it work in the future? I'm afraid it won't work in the future. So that real place can be where there is space for your transformation, right? But it's showing you also a massive amount of empowerment, but it comes from dismantling your thought process about how you and your world had to work from the past in order to work in the future, if that makes sense, where it's like, you know, maybe those old ideas that you had about marriage, about money, about community from the past, simply you're seeing they won't work to take you into the future, but you're also not exactly sure how to bridge that gap. But here it may be that you see this secret, you get this information, and you are starting to say, okay, well, wait a minute. I am empowered. I am stronger than I am giving myself credit for. And I am actually more supported in the universe and in this new vibration that we're traveling in than I've been giving credit for. You know, but also remember, Pluto in Aquarius calls us to groupings. We need to group. We need to learn in some kind of way. The group that is just like you, the group that is suffering with the same pain point or wants to achieve the same thing that you do, if we will group with them, then that is where through grouping you actually find your autonomy. You find just who you are, your own innovative, unique self. And then that adds to the whole of wherever you're at. But this can come with so much fear. And here's a really great example. And you can think about this, how this applies into your own life at this particular moon, right? With this grouping energy, if it's like, I have really needed to heal my feminine energy. I have really needed to heal my diet. I have really needed to heal something from my childhood. Maybe my parent was an alcoholic or was something else, right? If you could have just naturally by yourself gone to a group and allowed the group who struggles with the same pain point to help you, and then you just become different, more empowered, and gone on your way, you would have done it already, right? Like none of us needlessly suffer, right? That's not typically what we've got going on here. So in this astrology, when I'm seeing this, I'm like, this is bringing it to the surface. Whatever has been hidden, it is putting you in a position, and with this apex and Pluto to go, you have got to go to the people, to the places, to the resources that can show you how to ease the struggle and really be in that empowerment. But it's like it literally calls you to it in order for you to be able to live a more lively, full life. And it's kind of mysterious a little bit. It can feel like, how in the world did this unfold in this particular direction, right? Now, for other people, the way that this can look is like, let's say that you're in a relationship with somebody and you find out that there's been a financial secret that that person has been keeping, or they find out that you've been keeping that secret, right? As this moon happens and all of this energy rises to the surface, in order to resolve this conflict, You may need grouping to teach into your life, or you may need wisdom from groups. And I think that YouTube's a phenomenal place to find wisdom from groups, as long as you're looking for the right thing. You know what I mean? And it shows you how to take responsibility, how to think differently, how to have this transformation, this inversion in what you were thinking and how you were moving before, that actually supports your life, actually supports having the clarity. You know, the pent-up pressure has been pushed out, and now you have clarity to be able to move something forward. And in the move something forward is the space where life gets completely different. You have had this huge rearrangement that comes typically on the back of acknowledging something that was really challenging, realizing that maybe the place that you go to get well, get changed, get different isn't particularly sexy. Maybe you've got to go to that debt group, or maybe you've got to be in groupings of people who have worked through their what is the word I'm looking for? The mental blocks that they have had around financial success. Or maybe you join a group of people who have previously had a big fear of success, and now they've learned how to get out of the way of that, get the emotion out of the way, and bridge that gap between the emotional and the material world in order to encompass and empower this really big change. So I think that this is going to be a really powerful moon, but it is definitely pointing us with this T-square that is like, hey, you know what? If you want to have a sense of stability, security, any of these things, it's likely going to be found with one acknowledging that we're in a place nobody has been before. So there's so much that we don't know how exactly to shape it, how exactly to move with it, but we can pressure release. We can let the valve go a little bit, especially if we will find people or groupings that are like us that can teach us how to build these bridges. Now, the other thing I would say in terms of thinking about your grouping, if there is something that you are on the road, it's already shaping out for you, you want to achieve it, but you need a little bit of support, you can think of it in that way, right? Whatever the pain point is for you per se, that's Pluto. And you know it because you can't get around it and you're busy. You're like, I'm thinking about it. I'll figure it out. But instead of getting kind of that release and that baby step forward, like you're the magic of creation, the magic of transformation, transmutation, it feels more and more and more stressful. This is a way to think about this as well. The pain point can just as much be about something you have a deep desire to step into your being and to build, as much as something that you have to, that feels more dramatic to shed. They both require a dying off in some way in order to really, really live, right? And they both will require a little bit of, not a little bit, they will both require that there's a shakeup in the foundation in order to get things into the light so you can consciously make decisions about what you'd like to do to bring that resolution into your life. So, powerful moon, I think, because it's really going to illuminate a lot of things. Now, this is on the heels, of course, of having that Aries eclipse, where again, we're in this position where that Aries North Node is like, choose which direction you're going. You've got to Aries this. What are you willing to fight for, moving in this direction? So it really calls our courage to the surface. And then, of course, just days before, we had the Jupiter and Uranus conjunction right here, 20 degrees, too far from the sun, of course, like you can see by aspect, they are not in orb to one another. It's too far, but the energy's there. It's still sprinkled through the air. You know what I mean? We've had this powerful conjunction of Jupiter and Uranus that has built this signature where it is like your transformation is abundant, it is available, and it will be done in the material plane. Earth signs build in the material plane. So as these two have linked up, not only have they brought your innovation, an innovative space where your soul, your spirit, your creativity, your material success is ready to grow into that, Jupiter, but it has to be taught. It has to be taught. We have to be shown the way. So Uranus, again, being that energy ruling Aquarian vibration. This talks to grouping. It talks to AI. It talks to the places we have to go and be taught, or we have to do the hard work of learning to be in that space, right? In order to allow this expansion to really take place and take root. But it's beautiful, because the shift of energy is there. I think that this full moon is about getting those last minute blocks really to the surface, where it's like, you know, I kind of think about you know, this is going to sound ridiculous, but you know how you sweep and then you mop and then you're mopping and you're like, I swear to God, I swept. Why are these little cuckoo puds over here on the floor while I'm mopping? Why, how did I not get them when I was sweeping? And so then you have to get like a paper towel and like get the cookies off, you know, and put them in the trash. But yet in the end, the floor ends up clean. It's like that. I think that this full moon is like that. This is the last little cookie pods that are on the floor. They're in the way. You know, you've got to take a different role, right? You can't use the mop. You can't use the broom. You've got to get a paper towel. And that's the grouping to scoop up these last minute grossness, get it in the trash, you leave your beautiful floor nice and clean, full of readiness to expand in innovative ways. So I think that this moon is going to be powerful. Make sure you check the description box down below, grab your Astrology 101 and 102 classes so that you can keep learning this astrology and really bring it into your own life and your own heart. And definitely look for which house this is going to be working for you in your particular chart. All right, my absolutely beautiful friends, I hope that you have a gorgeous full moon, and really more than anything, I hope that you are beautiful. I hope that you, even if you are in the season of your struggle and your growth and your lessons, that you know that you are loved and held by the universe. You chose this chart. The universe is guiding you. There is no step of the way that you have been left on your own. And I hope that you're also finding a lot of love here in this community as well. All right, beautiful friends, I love you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.